Everybody with a social media account is a foodie these days, just like me. But trust me, it's more important to be a mindful foodie, which I am now. You know the best part of being one? It helps you cope up with COVID. Let's see what our expert, Ms. Kripa Jalan, has to say on this. Hi, Kripa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
So she's here to tell us how we can cope with corona with the help of a balanced diet and what anti-anxiety foods are. Kripa, what would you say is a balanced diet to be able to cope with corona, and what are anti-anxiety foods?
I think that's a great question, but in our modern day world, we tend to label foods as good and bad, right? It fits into very binary terms as to yes and no. Our well-being is almost never created or destroyed by a single food group. Take COVID, for example. It's a prime example of quick fixes, pills and powders, because companies have jumped on this opportunity and they're selling these to you in the name of immunity. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is good health. Your health is really an amalgamation of how well you eat, how well you train, how purposefully you move, how well you sleep, how your environment affects you, how your relationships nurture you. And all these things really matter. It's not just nutrition and it's not just training. Now, speaking of anti-anxiety foods, I'm going to blatantly tell you there are none, right? You can't just say one food is going to cure a disease or one food is going to cure a disease. But the way this works is that a poor diet creates inflammation in your gut. This inflammation in your gut creates neuroinflammation, which is linked to several mental health issues.
Sure.
Take depression, for example. It was the first issue that was linked to inflammation. And given the similarity between anxiety and depression and the very fact that these two occur together, anxiety is not left too far behind. But I'm going to talk about some anti-inflammatory foods. The first is definitely dietary fiber, because it adds bulk to your diet. It keeps your gut happy, and so it keeps your mind happy. You also have probiotics and prebiotics found in kimchi and miso, apple cider vinegar, and even unsweetened yogurt with live active cultures. We're going to get into the gut bit very soon. But just jumping on, there's also spices. They don't just add flavor to your food, but they also contain several antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. And lastly, but most importantly, we have omega-3 fatty acids, because these your body requires, but it can't produce. So it relies on your food for it. And these can be found in nuts, seeds, even in salmon. But more important than the do's are the don'ts. Let's talk about sugar. It's everywhere, it's utterly devastating, it's just so damn addictive. Nobody can stop at one cookie. Today you walk over to a supermarket, you see that a granola bar has more sugar than the dairy milk. You see that your salad dressings have sugar. And this is highly inflammatory. So it's important to be cognizant of how much sugar you're consuming, because it's everywhere. Then you also have alcohol and coffee, which are stimulants, but several times people use alcohol to calm down. Mm-hmm. Studies show that over a period of time, alcohol actually causes anxiety. Likewise, caffeine in excessive amounts causes anxiety. But it sounds like a death sentence to tell someone who's reliant on coffee, don't drink it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So what I mean is minimize it. Go from 4 cups to 2 cups. Switch your second, third, fourth cup with a caffeine-free herbal tea.
So in a balance.
Yeah, make these small systemic changes, because that's what stays with you after a period of time. And lastly, but surely, there's inflammatory seed and refined vegetable oils, which are corn, canola, and sunflower. I think regardless of who you are, regardless of your diagnosis, these are terrible for you.
Talking about anxiety, a lot of people complain about anxiety. And it's becoming one of the most common words, terms used constantly. I mean, from the age of 10, from a 10-year-old to a 90-year-old. What I feel is people don't really have knowledge about why they get anxiety and what are the foods that they should be eating. How can you build a diet on the basis of where you live, which country you live, and the foods that are available to you, and how do you think that the food contributes towards that anxiety?
To answer the why more so than the what, a lot of mental health issues can come down to inflammation or issues in the gut. And of course, this is not the only way, right? Because your triggers are so unique. For example, if my friend has hit her head and I've drank a bottle of wine last night, our outcome is the same, but the trigger is very different. So to understand that the same food or the same medication is going to have the same root cause is not entirely true. I'm not taking away from medication, right? Because tomorrow if I'm having a heart attack, I'm going to call the hospital. I'm not going to call a nutritionist. But what your nutritionist and your nutrition and your lifestyle will do is keep you out of the hospital to begin with. So coming to inflammation, we generally refer to it as the redness, the swelling, and the bruises that occur when we sprain our legs, when we get cut. This is a good thing. It's a sign that your body is healing. That's acute inflammation. But when this acute inflammation becomes chronic, that's when it's trouble. So with inflammation, you want to follow this balance principle. Not too much, not too little, just the appropriate amount that shows up when you need it and goes away when the job is done. Now, there are anti-inflammatory foods like we spoke about, and there's pro-inflammatory food. But the second part of this is your gut health, right? Think of it this way. Before a big exam, for a big presentation, for a big interview, you feel jittery in your stomach. Likewise, when you're constipated, you get a headache. Your gut and your brain are always talking to each other, right? And that's why they call your gut your body's second brain.
Yeah.
So it's very important to show your gut a lot of love all the time. And of course, we have these tiny bacteria in our stomach. Some good, some not so good. So the key to good gut health and overall health is to make sure that you have more good bacteria and less bad bacteria. Again, those pro-inflammatory foods and anti-inflammatory foods come in. So make sure that half your plate is filled up with vegetables. You're including a side of animal-based or plant-based protein. You have some whole grains, and you're including healthy fats because that's what's protecting you, that's what's keeping your brain happy. This is the do's. With regard to the don'ts, it's essential to minimize or curtail your sugar content because it's not just plain refined sugar. It's the processed honey, it's the processed jaggery, it's the brown rice syrup, the malt syrup. Sugar has over 100 disguises.
Wow.
So read your labels and opt for less processed food. What is less processed food? I like to call it this way, is that look at the ingredient list. If you can't pronounce a name, if you don't cook with it, don't buy it. And that's really the basics of healthy eating. It's not found in a paleo, keto, intermittent fasting. I'm not taking away from the benefits of those. But
so now even the jaggeries are a question, even the honeys are a question. Now what am I going to eat?
Right, so I'm not saying that, again, that these are bad. But if you saw a recent article that said that almost 70% of the honey found in India is sugar syrup. So honey used to be a food group.
No
Now,
honey for me from tonight.
If
I
you-
live on Kara, you know.
If you are having honey,
Maybe that's why I'm not losing weight.
I don't think it's because of that. But if you are having honey, a raw honey or a manuka honey is perfectly fine. It's this processed sugar syrup that's mass-produced, that's heated, and
What
then
about
given.
stevia and...
So with sugar, it's so interesting is that it is addictive. They say that it's 8 times as addictive as cocaine, right? So when you're having these sugar-free sweeteners, say aspartame, sucralose, equal, any of that, it's sharpening that pleasure center in the brain. So the more you have, the more desensitized you get to the taste, the greater hit you need. And I'm calling it a hit because for all purposes' sake, sugar is a drug.
Yeah, it's terrible, but we all love sugar.
We love it.
And we have to cut down as much as we
Yeah,
can.
that's why minimize.
I mean, I live to eat. So it's very difficult to have this conversation and follow it. But what I've learned this year that I must follow this because otherwise I'd suffer. So you're right. Way forward in life is to have a good balance. And that's, I think that's the real stuff. You can't, I don't think you can cut down everything, but having it in a balanced way, like you said,
Right.
cut down on the coffee, cut down on
Right.
the alcohol if you have it, cut down on the sugar as much as you can.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's great input.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad now that people know and can include these nutrients and foods in their diets and stay healthy both mentally and physically. Thank you, Kripa, for your inputs, and it was great to learn that there are so many alternatives, and and the fact that it's most important to have a balanced life and less is more.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. It was a pleasure to be here.